So we're good. Welcome to this week of Bet Gadget and Beyond the Odds. So let's talk about what happened last week, Gary.
Oh, where to start? Actually, it's been kind of a roller coaster ride the last couple months. Last week, actually, I was putting a message out on the marketing guy. Actually, our marketing guy kind of got back to me, and somebody was debating why was it relevant that only like 27% of the home favorites had won over like 3 days or something. And so I was kind of looking through my numbers for last week because I've been like 500. I think I might be down like 4 units or 3 units over the last week. I follow my bankroll. People love to talk about unit plus 1.5 or negative 2.3. I just go to my bankroll. The money tells me everything, right? But anyway, so the last week I actually was doing a little bit of research on that, and it's interesting. Am I sharing my screen on here? Okay. Making sure we're good on that. So I actually went through like the last week. I'll just answer this with a very simple question. Last 7 days, see my little analytical models. Bounced down here, and I was kind of reviewing this, trying to figure out what went different. Home teams was a favorite, 11 and 18 over the last, I guess, several days, whatever it was. Negative 12 units, 38% win percentage on home favorites. And I think what happened is, honestly, I think I've got a little bit giddy on the predictive confidence being plus 25 delta. Home team is a favorite, and home team favorites haven't been winning the last week.
I noticed as well.
Did you lose some money on the home favorites?
I might have shadowed you a little bit too much.
Maybe about the opposite when I'm doing that.
Yeah, well, but every time I do that, then you go on a hot streak. So people say
it's a streaky thing.
I do.
I've been really streaky on baseball this year. It's really interesting how baseball could be so streaky. I've never seen the streaks I saw in baseball this year.
It has been amazing to watch how that jumps around like that.
I don't expect that in football. I've never seen that many wins in a row or that many losses in a row playing football or basketball that I saw in baseball.
Yep. So for anybody that's new joining us today, just kind of a quick overview of what is Bet Gadget, what is the tool, what's it for, and how would you use it?
Here's the thing about Bet Gadget. This whole concept actually came by myself and the co-founder. He's been watching me bet. We've been talking about sports betting for 20 years. Like 2004 is the first time we worked together, and I was doing spreadsheets back in those days trying to do analytics and analyze the games and trying to figure out trends, and I could never really get it to work because of just the amount of work that goes into the spreadsheet, right? And so really what Bet Gadget came from is us winning money, me winning money and on the NFL like I've done for many years. And he's like, dude, if I can actually build what's in your head and automate it, we'll build kind of like a bet bot. So we wanted to build a bet bot. We wanted to build a tool that actually could read the lines, make the bets, and see it grow money. And what happened actually to kind of answer the question is we built a tool, and we realized the tool really wouldn't be an automated bet bot, but what it was is it allowed people to not just read the lines, pick the teams, but actually get all this data-driven kind of decisioning. So you can do analytics, you can look at historical data on last 7 days, last 30 days, season to season, month to month. All it's really doing is giving you a better idea of the value of the bet. And it's kind of funny because business is on the call, and he's the one that said value to me a couple of weeks ago when I was talking to him, and that word just sticks in my head now. It's all about value, especially in baseball. Football, but anyway, the point of Bet Gadget is it's giving you data, it gives you the ability to create the algorithm or create the formula, I should say, where you can actually say, am I reading the line? Am I looking at the team stats? Am I looking at the umpire stats? Whatever it is. You can take all those metrics, build a formula, take that model, run it against historical data, and see how it does to see how you might do in the future. And that's powerful.
That is powerful. So if somebody's new like me that's coming into sports betting, so I'm kind of cutting my teeth and learning vis-a-vis the Bet Gadget and your methods. What kind of mindset would you suggest that people use when they're betting, and kind of a best practice to apply with this?
God, there's so many. I would say the first thing I would do is say start really small on the bets, right? $1, $2, get a feel for the bets. It's an emotional roller coaster at times, especially if you make the mistake of betting on your favorite teams, the teams you like, because you're betting with your heart. That's kind of a golden rule everybody knows, but don't always follow. Another thing is, join the communities, get on, our Discord, get on Reddit, get on whatever community you want. There's a lot of people who've been doing it a long time. You can learn a lot, learn the terminology. Find a friend in the business. I mean, I know that we have a guy out here named Trex. It's a little bit younger, but he's a little bit newer to sports betting. He's been crushing it the last month. I think he's hitting like 67% of his over-unders. he uses the tool. He's been really successful. He also speaks with another guy that we call Business, and he's kind of been a mentor to him. But these guys, they collaborate. And that's what the whole point of this tool is. It's a community. You can share models. You can edit models. I can share a model with you. You can edit it. I can see the edits. We can go back and forth. There's a lot of value in collaboration. And I guess that's kind of the point there is let's collaborate, learn from each other, and grow.
Oh, absolutely, because I learned a lot just from the first couple of models I used that you shared with me to kind of walk through, and then go back and then visit the analytics piece of it and the other data chunks that are out there to add together. And you can mix and choose and pick which key points you want to have in your betting portfolio for that model.
That's right.
How you're going to drive it. And I found it it's fascinating to go and look at that stuff. It's a lot of fun.
I nerd out on it quite a bit myself, but.
So we had a question that came in one time of what's your position on parlay bets? High risk, high reward. What's your thought?
They're definitely high risk, high reward. I call them sucker bets, but they do pay. Here's the thing. I don't really bet parlays. People bet parlays when they're trying to get out of a hole, typically, when you're trying to win big or win quick, and it doesn't pay typically to do that, right? You might as well buy a lotto ticket, go to the casino, play the slots. But I will say one thing. I do play them when I get free plays on DraftKings or FanDuel. When they promote a free parlay bet, hell yeah, I'll do like a 7-8 teamer that pays a lot of money. I don't win, but I don't lose because they're free bets. I just don't believe in parlays. I mean, if you're way up in the money and you're on a hot streak and you want to throw a little extra money and see if you get lucky, great, but I wouldn't recommend it to build a bankroll.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. That's been my experience. Like I shared with you before, my one parlay win was at the dog track. My third bet, and I won, and I've never won one since.
So you probably haven't been back that many times. So.
Well, no, I haven't because I kept losing. So the fun was gone. The thrill was gone for me on that. So anyway, that's good stuff. Thanks for the open on that. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the NFL. The season's getting ready to kick off here. What's your thoughts?
I'll tell you one thing about the NFL. I absolutely am excited as can be about it. I make almost all my money on sports betting on the NFL. I'm actually going to do a little bit more. Can we just kind of go through the schedule, talk about the games?
Absolutely.
It's been a few minutes on these, break them down. So basically, I typically, when I come to, this is only our third podcast, but the first couple I kind of prepared, had some notes. NFL today, I did not walk in and say, okay, I'm going to break down these games and have all my notes to break them down. I thought I'll walk people through the process. So I cheated a little bit 5 minutes before to kind of see what the lines were. And the games that stood out to me, honestly, it was interesting, right? On football alone, there's not that many games, 16 games a week. You got 3 primetime games where the handle is very large. Handle meaning the amount of money on the game is very high, which means the lines are a little bit easier to read in terms of knowing which side the public's on, which side the sharps or the pros are on. And so it's funny because, I expected, I'm going to the Chiefs game tomorrow night. I was thinking that, the majority of people will be betting on Kansas City being the Super Bowl champs. And they're not. Actually, it's the other way around. It's actually 57% around Detroit, which kind of surprised me. What's also more surprising is that the line dropped from -6.5 to -4.5. So that 57% has moved that line 2 points. A month ago, we're talking a month ago, I kind of took a peek to see this game. And it was a 6.5, and it was like, I think 65% Kansas City. And I was loving it. I was like, at 6.5, they're trying to bait you into betting them, thinking, okay, I got the Super Bowl champs, 7 points, touchdown wins the bet. This line's kind of goofy. I wouldn't go nuts on. I personally still think Detroit probably would be the bet, but I would not bet this game. It's a Thursday night game. I probably won't touch it. I'll show you a couple games I like, and I'd like to spend more time and go through these one by one with the people on the followers or the people on the YouTube, but let me jump down to a couple games I really like. So I was looking through this. The actual games that actually are also the primetime games are the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. And so I was looking at this a little bit ago, trying to see where there are some games. And again, it's funny because I look for things like reverse line movement, baiting the public, and I look for teams that are getting points at home. There's certain things I look for. So the Jets would be the one a good example on this one. The New York Jets, home team at 42%. Buffalo's a good team on the road. The public loves the bigger name team. They love the high offense teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I know for a fact, without ever having an analytical tool in my life, is that when the team's +1 or +2 or +2.5 in football, 65 to 70% of the time, I'm pretty convinced. I'll know this with the data after this year's over because I'll have the data in the tool and I'll be able to, break it down.
Okay.
But I know for a fact that these teams that are getting like 1 or 2 points are really the favorites. Hell, I bet Florida State on Sunday night when I was down in Tulsa with my girlfriend for the weekend. Looked at the line, saw that Florida State was getting like 35 or 40% of the bets. I saw they were home team getting 1.5. I was giddy as shit about it. I bet $300. They win by like 20. Football, there's certain... Baseball, you can't see run lines always 1.5. But football, you can kind of see which way the sports books wants the average novice bettor to bet. And you can use that to your advantage. So I guess the point of there is I love the plus 2.5. I like the home team, prime time. Aaron Rodgers, good quarterback. The model likes it. Obviously, the Passan model likes Buffalo, but Passan model's there for its own reasons, not for mine. And one more game I'll break down, then we'll take some calls or get some feedback if these guys want to ask some questions. Look at this one. Dallas started off as a 3.5-point favorite. Only 43% of the people are betting on Dallas, yet the line dropped. The line should, if anything, be going from 3.5 to, actually, maybe I read that line backwards. Let me think about this. That they actually have the Giants at 57% going from 3.5 to 3. So I guess the line didn't go reverse line movement like I read it the first time. But again, I sit down quickly. But I love these games where you get the plus, 2.5 plus 3.5. What is the difference? At plus 2.5, they're guiding you, the sports book, almost cheating you and believing that the Buffalo by 3 is the pick. Over here, the Giants are plus 3.5. Now, let's just say it's the 3.5 still. They're almost trying to get, they're at home. They want the public to bet the Giants. I guarantee they're guiding that bet on some level, knowing the average bettor goes, oh my God, the Giants were good last year. Daniel Jones had a good year. The coach was rookie of the year. I think he was close to it if he wasn't the coach of the year. They're home, prime time, Dallas on the road.
Yeah.
You've got to see kind of through how the sports books are framing these bets. And when you get the data to back it up on the analytics or on the splits and reading the lines, that's great. What BetGadget does is we take all of that plus the team stats, which we'll have next week. Once the first week is done, we'll be able to look at the results and see how the analytics look after 1 week and compare that to how we did.
And that's probably a good point to bring up for people that are looking at the tool right now. This is all fresh data for this season. So no games yet, no data yet, just a little of the preseason stuff. So that the analytic points will begin to fill in after we get a week of football in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we started building this tool back in February. We had the first version done in March. And as you know, obviously you can't pull historical data if you don't have historical data. So we're going to have the data from the first week through the last week. And then next year we'll have season to season. And you can do analytics from, month to month, year to year, week to week, whatever you want, day to day. It's there.
Yep.
But you got to build the tool, collect the data, ingest it, store it. And that's where we're at.
And it's pretty exciting to see this, Philip. I'm ready to go for NFL this year. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. So if anybody has any questions or anything they would like to bring up, go ahead and throw it into the chat if you want. Be happy to address anything that comes up. Won't be super long on these podcasts. It's kind of come on in, talk about stuff, see what's going on from week to week, the information that's happening, what models are working. What about the contest last week?
We started the contest. We started the contest officially yesterday, day one. It goes from Tuesdays to the following Monday, which kind of lines up with football. So today is basically, we can look back. I guess I can pull it up right now. Let me go to baseball. And I pull up the games. And of course, I shouldn't say of course, but look who's in first. I'm kidding. Actually, the model actually in here is really more for analytics than it was supposed to be for betting. It's interesting. But here's the thing: if I win this thing with one of these models, I'm not going to take the prize. I will make sure whoever's the actual user, the next one down. Which again, my models haven't been crushing it the last few weeks anyway, so I'm a little surprised this one bounced up. But it's 24 hours one day.
Yep.
But we'll run it this week on baseball. I think next week, we'll do NFL. NFL is where people are going to get excited, and honestly, we'll probably bump it from $50 to $100 over time and do things to make it interesting. But the really cool thing is, as we continue to evolve the platform, people are not only going to win money by being in the rankings, they're also going to show that they're good at their models, and then people are going to come in and be able to not only request your model to get better predictive confidence, but actually ask you to buy your model. So if you build a model for over-unders like Trex or Business or Crown, these guys that are very good at it, they come on here. Those guys are building models. I mean, I would pay right now for a couple of those models. I mean, those guys are hitting models at 65%, almost 100 games over, 45 days or something?
That's amazing.
I mean, people sell bets for a lot of money doing the same thing. And these guys are doing it based on pure data where you can buy the model, apply it to the game, see the confidence, decide for yourself. That's the power of this tool. Is they'll build a community, and they can collaborate. They can take the model. I mean, you can make it so you can do the tracing piece. Some of these aren't set up that way. Let me change this model actually really quickly. So here's an example. When you share a model, I could share one with you, Brian, but say I don't want to share. Actually, I'll even go here and edit the model and show you the settings. You have sharing right here. These are people I've shared the models with in the settings I've done. I think there's more than that. But anyway, you can set up the trace. The trace is pretty cool. I'll show you what that is in a minute. The view kind of as well in the edit. So go back to the games. What's really cool is sometimes you don't want, if somebody's going to pay you for your model, you may not want to show them the formula because then they can copy it and sell it, and all of a sudden you've kind of given away your secret sauce. What you can do is you can say, I don't want to view it, so you cannot be able to see the edits of the model, so you can't really look at it, the formula. You can just use it to see this predictive confidence. The other thing we did is we can turn off the tracing. This is a trace right here.
Yep.
Honestly, somebody could probably figure the model out just by looking at the trace, right? They can say, okay, how many points do they have here? How many are possible? They can kind of reverse engineer and kind of figure out what the model may be just off of the trace. You can turn the trace off. You also have an edit button, so I can send it to you. I send it to you and leave the edit button on. You can change my model because it's a shared model. It's not like I have a copy, you have a copy. We're doing our own editing. It's a shared community kind of thing. So there's some controls there. It's pretty cool. Let's see what these guys are asking. Trex says, let's go. I like it. What's Business saying on here? You better not win that contest at Trex. Actually, if I was going to bet, which I do bet, I would probably bet on Trex.
Nice.
So that's kind of that. I mean, here's the other thing about baseball. We kind of skipped through the last couple of weeks, and here's a couple of things I want to point out on baseball. People ask me a lot about Bet Gadget and how it's doing and how I'm doing. And you guys know this, you know me. I've said this quite a few times. I don't historically bet baseball. I put $500 into DraftKings in like June. And actually it was amazing. I think I went 15-3 right after I did it. I was up like a good chunk of money. Then I lost like, a whole bunch, like 10 out of 12 or 11 out of 12 or whatever it was. It was bad. And then I had another spike of winning like 6 in a row. Then it kind of leveled out to 500. The point I'm trying to make is I don't really historically bet baseball, but by using this tool, that $500 went up to about $1,500 at one point, and now it's down to about 900 and something. So I'm still almost doubled my money, and I'm not even doing great. If I would just use the over-unders, actually I have an over-under model on here I was looking at earlier that's hitting, the last week, under 8.5 at 73%. So Trex, I'm coming for you. I need to spend some time on the over-unders. I will figure them out, but I'm coming for you.
Uh-oh, game on. Game on.
What do you think of that? I don't see him talking any smack on me.
Well, there's a good delay there, so he's probably fidgeting right now going, what?
Are you chicken walking on the keyboard, Trex? I'm kidding, bro. So that's interesting. But anyway, here's a couple of things too. I guess going back to baseballs, I actually pulled up a couple different tabs, right? Look at this. I have the date from like basically the 29th to the 4th, which was kind of that last 7-day period. And then I turned around and looked at a 30-day window. And what I do is I try to get snapshots of different time intervals to see how the trends are changing. And it's really fascinating because like the one I just showed you, right? Go back to the 8.5. Actually, I'll do a different one. Let's do home team as a favorite. I was talking about how that was crushing me the last week. I was getting those plus or minus 120s, minus 130s, and I was getting my ass kicked. Sorry for the language, guys. 11 and 18. But then I go back, home teams as a favorite, they've got to do better. Home teams as favorites have got to be winning more than they're losing over the course of, maybe not units, but record-wise, they've got to be doing better. So I go and pull up, this August 6th through the 5th of September and go back here and look at home teams as favorite. Home team is favorite, 56%, 118.92, but negative 21 units. Why? Because they're probably minus 180, minus 240 or whatever, right? So. Yep. So anyway,
that's important. You've been showing me that, and that's helped me out a lot to take that evaluation of, what the the cost of that bet is for the pay. If I'm paying, $2 to make one, well, it doesn't really help me out, especially when I lose.
Right.
So that's been good information for me.
The other thing is, I think I would really learn about baseball, and I tell you what, next year I'm excited about baseball because I think baseball, if you really want to make money, you got to find the value bets, obviously, but it's really about just slowly grinding that bankroll upwards over time.
Yeah.
You can't, like I in football, I get some big handle games where I really like the and I'll bet a lot more. So I don't do units in football. It's historically, I would go, I'll bet 100, small, medium, large, 100, 200, $400. Yeah. And it's interesting. We get into the end of the year, like last year, I was up, I don't know how many thousand, we'll say 5,000. And the Chiefs came on, being a Kansas City person and knowing the Chiefs and seeing that the public was on Philadelphia. I put like $3,000 on my, $5,000 on that one game. But it was all house money. And the thing is, when you're playing with house money, it's so much easier to be aggressive. Of course, the thing is, when you're winning, like if you're playing blackjack or something, press. It's good when you're on a streak.
Press.
But when you lose, don't increase your bets. That's tilt, back up, don't do it, right? So there's a lot of cool things to learn, and there's a lot to it, but it really comes from a lot of it's gut instinct too. So, do you have any questions from these guys?
Anybody got any questions out there? Feel free to jump in and add them into the chat there. We'll be able to pick them up. It takes us a second or two. There's a little bit of a delay from when we're talking here, probably about almost 10 seconds or so before it gets out.
Oh, let's play the NFL for a minute then while they're doing that if you guys want. We got some time, right?
Yep.
So let's see. Let's just go through these. Just no analytics, just reading the lines. The Poisson model, I don't know how it got to 37-0, but I would bet against that every day of the week and 3 times on Sunday. You got the public on Detroit. Obviously, the line has dropped from 6.5 to 4.5. Is Kelsey hurt influencing the line? I don't know. It could be. I know last year in the Super Bowl, Mahomes was possibly injured. That line moved back and forth a few points for a couple of weeks or whatever the time interval was. Business says, I've already asked all my questions. You asked your questions. We didn't see your questions. Maybe they didn't show up or maybe something else is going on. So anyway, the point of this one was Kansas City would say that's the sharps. But the 2-point movement here kind of mitigates or kind of offsets that. So this is a very hard game to bet. I don't know that I would bet this game personally. I'm going to the game, so I'd like to, so I have something to cheer about, but I don't think I can. Then you get into the next game. I told you about the whole line at 3.5. Man, Carolina on the road, getting 3.5. The Poisson model, for some reason, likes them at 18-12. I don't understand the formula of the Poisson model. It's beyond my math skills. But we'll talk about the Kelly criterion here in a minute, I believe. But anyway, this one has a predictive confidence just based on the move. And actually, let me show you the model. This is a baiting the public reverse line movement model. So I'll just show you what this model looks like. Once it comes up. No, I hit the wrong model. Go back to the game. Sorry about that, guys. Let's go to analyze, reverse line movement, and fading the public. What I do is, this is a very simple model. I'm saying, okay, if the split is 0% to 20%, we got some questions maybe coming in, I can't tell. Then we got 20% to 40% at 30, and then basically 40. So basically anything under 50% is getting points. 20 to 40 is kind of that sweet spot. I don't like the 41 to 50 necessarily, and I don't like the heavy tilts, the heavy splits. So I'm kind of hitting that sweet spot. And then over here, what I'm looking for is reverse line movement where the line's going the wrong direction. If there's no movement, if it's forward regular movement, I just ignore it. I should probably make that a negative value. Actually, I'll do that right now. Let's make that negative 20. But going back to the games, so if you go look at Carolina, what we were just talking about, getting 3.5, the sportsbook at 3.5, they want you betting. They want more bets to kind of even out the money on both sides. So they're guiding a little bit of betting on Carolina. You can see that the sharps are following that, knowing that they can get the 3.5, which is a little bit concerning. That should not really be that way. So this is probably another game where I wouldn't get overly excited about it. Go to Washington, Poisson model 29-10. Interesting. 7 points is a hard one. I like the 6.5 and the 7.5. It tells me a little bit about what the sportsbook is trying to guide. So then if it's sub and I go down here, I go, okay, Arizona. The sharps are on Arizona, getting 7 points on the road. Arizona is probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. The public knows this. This is where people make their bets based on what they believe, their knowledge of the teams, not based on the lines and how to read the splits. The other game, I personally wouldn't touch it if I was forced to touch it. Washington's not exactly a stellar team either. I'd take the 7 points, follow the bigger money on the side, but I would probably bet it for like a unit. I wouldn't go crazy. Cincinnati, Cleveland. Here's a game that's interesting. You've got Cincinnati, which has Burrow and Chase and Mixon and all these studs. -2.5 on the road in conference. Conference games are also very important. Think about the times Kansas City plays the Raiders or the Denver. Tough. They're not supposed to be tough teams.
Yep.
Conference games are a factor. So you look at that and you say, okay, Cleveland's at +2.5 or Cincinnati's over here. Well, the 2.5, we know they kind of want you to bet the team that's favored. Cincinnati on the road feels like a trap game in conference. The kickoff team, Deshaun Watson's had a whole offseason, no more back massages. Right, no more problems with the ladies. He's probably focused. But again, the public's on Cleveland. What do? I personally wouldn't touch it.
No.
See where I'm going with these?
I would agree with you on that.
It's a trap game, but it's also the lines don't read it that way. The sharps are kind of still thinking they're going to cover. So, but these lines, here's the thing: it's Wednesday. The lines are going to move a ton.
Before.
And here's the thing, too. I've had a lot of times, even on baseball this year, where I will do the videos, I'll send them out. It'll be a reverse line. It'll be a heavy lean on the sharps. And that's like 10 o'clock in the morning. By 5 o'clock at night, the lines have moved. The other teams, there's no longer reverse line movement. So these are based on today. So don't watch me kind of walk you through these games and make a bet today and think it's going to be relevant on Sunday at 11:30 or 11:45 in the morning.
With the conversation regarding why you look at those numbers and
Yeah.
how you're looking at the, that on the road 2.5 point conference favorite, but you just take a look at that, and that is important information right there on the way the game is going to be played. What the items are engaged with the two teams, home, away, conference, etc.
Yeah, I mean, you're really kind of trying to read the lines to get a feel for where the public is at and where the professionals are at, and it's counterintuitive. It really is counterintuitive. And so a lot of times it's almost like you're betting against your better judgment in a way. And that, even like in baseball today, I took 2 dogs today. It's a little bit hard. Like, how would I bet Miami and I forget what the bets were I had. Miami and somebody. Let's go look at the games because I'm kind of cheating. You guys can hang on. Let's see. I'm kind of making the point here. Miami, I was struggling against the powerful Dodgers on Miami at +120. They're up 9-1. Your heart, your common sense says the better team with a better record, the better players, the better pitcher should win. But what I've learned about baseball is everybody's winning 40 to 60% of the games, except for the Kansas City and Oakland's, but there's a couple outliers. But the majority of teams are around 500, so you're looking for value. But man, that one's a good one. What's the other one? I think I had Detroit. Well, Detroit was up 1-0. Now they're down 3-1. That was +142. And again, that's still early, bottom of the 4th, down 2. But it's counterintuitive. You would think the Yankees at home with all the power and all the big names against the lowly Detroit Tigers, which can't hardly compete with Kansas City, which is terrible. But it's baseball, and these teams still, they just look at their records. I mean, look down here tonight. You've got Angels, which, 20 games, that's a little bit more lopsided, but these conference games, 65 versus 77, they're going to win 40 to 50% of the games or 40 to 60% on both sides all season long. Just betting plus money games all season long, I bet you'd make money on baseball.
Yep.
If you can find the right combination, that's where the tool kind of comes into play. So anyway, I'm going back to NFL. We'll do a little bit more NFL and see if there's any more questions. Houston, Baltimore, let's scratch that one. Jacksonville, Indianapolis. You got the new rookie quarterback, +5 points. Indianapolis basically being a home team against Jacksonville. It's not a game I wouldn't touch. I mean, the public loves Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's a good play. The line scares me. I don't want to agree with the public. I'll probably stay away. Another game I completely and utterly confuses me is Pittsburgh. Again, these lines will move, so I won't even really worry about it until Sunday morning. Pittsburgh's gone from +2.5 down to like +2. 71% of the money's on Pittsburgh, so that should move that direction. But how is it possible that these guys, with all these young guys that barely got 500 against the almighty San Francisco, I guess it's a road game. But man, I guess Purdy's also pretty young as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. But man, I would almost have to bet Pittsburgh, but that's a hard one to do as well. I mean, all these games are pretty tough right now. Minnesota, love Minnesota over Tampa, but you know what? Tampa's going to play them tough. It's NFC. It's going to be a run game. It's going to shorten the clock. 50-50 on the bets, and that tells you a little bit about it too. At -6, they're kind of trying to get you on Minnesota. I'd probably go Detroit, or I'm sorry, I'd probably go Tampa. The confidence is identical. That will be a coin toss.
Yeah.
Tennessee, New Orleans, two teams that are probably going to be under 500 all year. You're going to bank on the home team. Derek Carr versus Tannehill. Oh my God. Talk about two guys I don't want to bet on, period. But if I had to, the public is on Tennessee getting the 3 points. This is not a bad game, actually. New Orleans -3 at home looks like a pretty good game. The numbers are strong. It looks like the line, we're getting, on our trace here, we're getting the split range at 24% in that 20 to 40% range, so it gets 30 points. And then the spread direction is no movement, which is 15. So 45 to 65 is a pretty good chunk of the confidence. Very simple model, by the way. And then you got Chicago, Green Bay. I love +1s, especially at home. This is not a home game. And I love Fields, but I also don't know Jordan Love. I'd probably stay away from that. You got the Rams, Seattle. I love Seattle on this game. You got the home team at 5.5, at 43%, but we'll watch the line, see where they go. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. This is kind of what I do on Sunday mornings. And I will put out a video like we do on baseball, probably tomorrow, breaking down the Chiefs game for a minute, which there's not going to be a lot of data, so maybe I'll wait till next week for the Thursday game. But Sunday morning, I will probably pick 2 games. And maybe do one on Monday for Monday Night Football, kind of breaking down the data so people can kind of see what the metrics say. So that's pretty much it. I mean, honestly, we haven't even started football. We don't have a lot of analytical data for football. Next week, we can really hammer through this and have some fun.
Your team last year is not the same team that it is this year.
I know.
It's so competitive on those rosters and the trades, the moves, all the things, the injuries, all the things that take place. It's very dynamic. And while you may think you're loaded for bear, you can turn out to be loaded with bunnies. And then you've got the other ones where the team is a complete sleeper and comes out and just kills it. So it happens. That's the fun of the NFL. There's
so much parity.
Yeah,
and every year it's a different bunch of teams. I mean, there's also good teams that are repeatedly good, but I'm telling you what, in football betting, I always struggle through the first probably 4 to 8 weeks because I'm kind of breaking even. I'm kind of being surprised by some teams. The second half season, I just go nuts because football is predictable. It's more predictable than baseball. You just got to get kind of into the season, kind of see the trends and follow the numbers.
Absolutely, and kind of be up on what's happening with each one of the teams.
Yeah. So that's that. What else do we have on our list? There was a couple other questions I thought you guys wanted to go through. New features. A couple things we talked about doing, we haven't done yet, but one of the things I've been talking to the kind of lead developer, the guy, the brainiac behind all the tech, is maybe having some sort of like indicator when a reverse line movement is on a game before the game, like maybe the last 2 hours, having like RLM or some sort of indicator, especially on football. Because I always want to, first thing I do is look for basically reverse line movement as I'm kind of scrolling through here. So I'm looking to see where the bigger money is shifting the line in the wrong direction. I love to see that right away. So maybe some sort of logo or some sort of indicator that there is a reverse line, so people can see that.
Draw your attention to it a little bit quicker.
That's one thing. The other thing I was thinking about doing, I think would be really cool, and I'd love to know what you guys think actually, that are watching or listening, is a tilt button. Because here's the thing, when I make a lot of money on NFL, not just picking the games, but betting live bets. And live bets are fascinating for 2 reasons. I'm not betting on that game at all, but I can see, let's say, a team that was favored by 3 is all of a sudden down 21 points. Now they're getting 17 instead of being favored by 7. The average bettor goes, oh my God, they're supposed to win. I can't believe they're not going to win, but they just got to stay within 2 touchdowns. They double down. That tilt is horrible. And people get crushed on tilt. I bet against the guys that I fade that. I go the other way. And I'll tell you what, it makes me a lot of money. What's even better for me is when I actually am already betting against them, and then I see they're on tilt, and I go, well, I'm already going to win the first bet. I might as well double down and try to double my bet. And if I lose, I get nothing. If I win, I've doubled my bet. Love to do that. So I love live betting. So the point about that feature is, I told him, I said, why don't we put a tilt button on the teams so they can come up and watch the games as they're going on and be aware if you're basically going to try to jump back in and bet with a tilt, which is a red flag, or stay away, which I'm not saying that tilts don't come back. These guys do. Mahomes is notorious for being on a team that's, coming back from behind.
Yeah, he would be bad to be betting against on that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that we're going to do in terms of kind of get some, because right now a lot of our users, they come on, they look at the models, they make their baseball picks, they're done for the day. We want to get a little bit more recurring traffic throughout the day. And with football, I think with the tilt button and maybe indicating the help that maybe you can get a barometer or something that says a level of tilt based on the score difference and where the game it's at. So you can kind of say this is a heavy tilt, a small tilt, because tilt's a relative term, right? So how much tilt is really going on?
And I like the idea of the barometer.
Yeah,
moving back, it gives me a visual percentage to kind of look and see what it's really doing. Is a little tilt, medium tilt?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to fluctuate based on time remaining and point spread, right? Yeah. So the bigger the spread, the less time remaining, it's going to go heavy tilt, right?
How quick would something like that be refreshing, do you think?
That's a good question. I'd say probably every couple of minutes, whatever. I don't know what the interval is for pulling the data on baseball, but I think it's less than a minute. I think it's like every minute. So I mean,
it's going to be pretty accurate, real time as far as the line movements go.
What's funny about that is when I watch, when I watch like NBA or NFL, I sit on my couch like every nerd that watches sports like me, and I watch the live bets like this. And I'm pretty much watching the live betting line as I'm watching the game, and it's like watching a stock as you watch the company perform. And what's amazing to me is sometimes actually, like DraftKings is always ahead of my TV or my computer, and I can almost tell you when a team scores before or something happens. The line will go off. Or the line will jump a whole bunch. You go, why'd the line just go from -3 to -7? Somebody's going to score a touchdown. And my friends think I'm like a genius. Like, I think they're going to score a touchdown right about now. Because I'm watching, I can see the line move. They're like, they figured it out over a couple of years of watching me do like, we know you're up to something. What's in your hand, right? What are you watching? But there's some really good ways. I mean, live betting's awesome too, because you're getting even more value. You can see like a sample size of the game. You get the flow of the game. You know who's actually chasing their bet, who's actually winning their bet. I mean, what better way to bet than actually betting in a game where you actually can have a sample size and see the trend right on the game? Right on. Doesn't mean it won't change. You got to still make a decision, but it works.
Sounds like it.
I like it. I think it's great.
So that's what you were always doing at the bar when you were watching the game. Now the plot thickens. Now I understand.
I don't go to the bar. No, I do. What else do you guys want to knock out here? So we got basically new product features. What is a Kelly criterion? I actually have notes here, fellas, so kind of things to cover. Kelly criterion. I didn't know that I could actually explain this because I'm not a super math nerd. What it really is for is it's basically used to help you kind of figure out what percentage of your bankroll to bet is kind of what it was intended for. But you can see here's the formula. You're probably a bigger nerd than me. Do you want to explain this?
No.
It's a formula we put on the product because we thought it was interesting and cool. It's there for kind of entertainment, like the Poisson model was something that also we did some research. We're kind of just playing, we're having fun with the tool. It's not like we're saying, hey, this thing is going to be predictable and give you guys some percentage of confidence to make money. This is things we're doing to kind of see what sticks. And honestly, the one thing I will say is I really would like to have people tell me what they would like to see the product do. I know they want college football. I know they want soccer, World Cup or whatever. I know those things are coming. But other feedback on formulas, tools, gadgets, whatever, let us hear about them.
Yeah. Every time I turn around, you guys bring up something that I've never even heard of before.
Yeah.
Like the Kelly criterion.
Yeah, like the Poisson model is another thing. I think the Poisson model is something that was done by some Japanese guys who were trying to build an algorithm to beat gambling, and they actually proved it out. There's like a long paper. I stuck it on our Discord a couple months ago. Somebody asked me, they go, what is the Poisson model? I was like, I'll tell you what, if you can't sleep, print out a copy of the Poisson model, put it in your nightstand, you'll never have a problem sleeping. It is boring math stuff.
That hurts. It is. I can't.
I've started to read it a couple times. The people who can read that, all the more power to them. So I think that's pretty much it. The promotion we talked about. What else have we talked about? We haven't gotten here. I guess the one thing I will say is this whole entire platform, this community, Discord, everything we're doing is really, honestly, we're just enjoying it. We have some pretty big plans, but honestly, it's just something we do for fun. We want the tool to be something you guys are proud of, using and like it. And so feedback's welcome. On Discord, we're very active. I talked to Aaron and Biz and Crown and Stacked and who am I forgetting? There's so many people that are really chatty, and I expect that community to grow a lot with football. We've not done a whole bunch of, brand awareness kind of stuff yet, but we're going to really hammer it pretty good with football, improve the tool, grow the community, and hopefully you guys make a lot of money so you can buy your girlfriend, your mom, whatever, Christmas gifts and spoil the shit out of them, or
New Passan model hat.
Exactly. The Kelly. What we should do is
the Kelly Criterion.
I'll get you a Kelly Criterion shirt. I'll get a Passan shirt. We'll wear that to these.
There you go.
That'll probably nobody will show up then.
Yeah, and they can be modeled like on those tuxedo shirts, T-shirts.
That would be awesome.
We would be styling.
Wear that to the bar and see how you do.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have any luck there.
No. I think I'd be going home.
So what else do we got here? Anything else we want to knock out, Brian?
I think we've covered a lot of these items. The biggest thing is we're going to continue to bring out more information each week on the podcasts, and then hopefully we're planning on trying to be able to get some live events where we can get other people to come in and join us as well. So we're figuring out the different pieces of our technology to use to allow us to do that on a bigger scale, not just 2 or 3 people, but get a group of people to come on in and get some of our regular community members to come in and join and come in and be live with us as well on this. So that's coming up soon.
You know what I'd like to do actually next week? Let's do this next week. Let's actually build them. Let's get the analytics, obviously, after the first week's over. We'll get on here and I'll build a model based on the analytics.
So next week is Build the Model Week. It's like Build-A-Bear.
And then we'll apply it to the games based on the current kind of trends, or I should say lines and splits and everything. But then we'll see the week after how we did. It's a little bit unfair to build a model. I guess we're building it based on historical data, not really on the current line. So maybe it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I think it's a great idea. I'm excited to dive into the NFL season here.
Me too, man. I love the NFL.
So much fun.
I want to talk to the community. I want those guys to come on and tell me their questions. I want to, build models with you guys. I want to share models with you guys. And when the lazier users come on eventually that don't want to build models but want to pay for them, you guys will get paid. And, we'll start telling the guys that are smart and know how to make the money.
There you go. So community interaction, new model building next week for the first run at the NFL. Let's take it for a spin.
I'm ready.
That's going to be exciting. So I guess we'll wrap this one up on Beyond the Odds podcast is in the books. Episode 3. Ta-da. Thanks everybody for joining.
Bye guys.